It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the happiest season of all, with those holiday greetings and gay happy meetings when friends come to call. It's the happiest season of all. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. Long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time. It's the most wonderful time. It's the most wonderful time of the
Please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
is the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 2, episode 14, also known as called Moose, because we have Rebecca Moose Morse from the Metropolitan Riveters coming on to the podcast today, as our New Jersey Devils are currently playing the Anaheim Ducks right now. We're not going to give you the play-by-play, but last I checked, the Devils are up 4-3 over the Anaheim Ducks. I'm here with Scotty. My name is Sam Wu. We got a big podcast tonight. Guys, we had a little technical difficulties before, but we delayed the show for 20 minutes. We apologize to the listeners. But right now, we're on Facebook Live, Twitch, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube Live. I think everything's all fine and streamed live on letsgodevils.com. Guys, right now, the Devils have a 4-3 lead. Palmieri is hot right now. They beat the LA Kings a couple days ago. So far, so good. I don't want to jinx it. Guys, I'm going to shoot it over to you.
All right. Yeah. Sorry. I'm looking down on Sam. That's always so good. I was looking down, reading some comments on the Facebook Live group. Joe is saying that he has his top 15 mock NHL draft up. So he said, if you guys are, he's open to helping us out with that. So that's pretty nice.
Well, thanks, buddy. We appreciate that.
Still waiting on my invite for the show. Jake, it's coming, buddy. It's coming, Jake. Don't you worry. We have lots of things to do.
Why don't you give out the old Facebook page there?
Yeah, no, well, everybody's on the Facebook page, but I mean, I know our buddy Jake was talking to us about wanting to jump onto the podcast, and we're going to make that happen sooner than later. So if you don't hear right away, don't worry. We have a lot of things going on. We're pretty busy behind the scenes. So there's a lot of things that are happening. So if you don't hear right away, don't worry. Be patient. We see you. We hear you. We'll have you on. Outside of that, let's talk about.
And if you're listening for the first time, you can find us on Facebook. Just like the Let's Go Devils podcast on there.
Right. All the things that Sam was just saying in the beginning of the show. So we open up the show while we're actually playing, and it's really tough because everything inside of me wants to watch the game while we're doing this, but I actually just shut the game off because I know my ADD will kick in and I will want to just watch the show by itself. Oh, thank you. This is an awesome jersey. I got this like 7 years or 8 years ago. It's one of my favorite ones. But yeah, it's really tough. And then, like, right before I turned it off, they scored. So they're up 4-3. But this has been one of those crazy, weird games. 3-3 in the first period. The theme of the year, the inconsistency and the craziness of this team. I went on Monday. I was actually at the game on Monday, and it was brutal. It was a brutal loss. It was just one of those, after the second period, you just didn't care anymore kind of games, but not in a fun way. Like you were just sitting back and having conversations with whomever because you knew the game was not going to be, reachable. And it sucked because it was one of those games that you hope they get up for, being at home against Tampa Bay. The last time they're going to play them in the regular season, hoping that, they got beaten up by this team twice and you wanted to see them show a little backbone. And they got destroyed, and it was a tough pill to swallow. So all that being said, they go out to LA and they beat the Kings. But if the Devils are bad, the Kings are worse. So, I mean, beating the Kings, it's fun and we love it. Although Kovalchuk wasn't out there to get beaten to, it's not like they're beating some of these top teams. So I don't know. What are your takes on all that?
Well, first off, I'd just like to say nice, happy holidays to everyone. It's good to be back on the podcast talking a little New Jersey Hockey Devils over here. I got my new microphone and new rig and everything like that, so hopefully it's sounding okay. The Tampa Bay game, I don't know. I don't really expect that much out of us against Tampa Bay. They are definitely the class of the East, I feel like, well, maybe one of the class of the East teams. And they've seemed to have our numbers since the playoffs last year. Like, we just looks like we can't play against them. and I was really not expecting that much. I do want to say, though, besides that game, the Devils have been really, really good at home. And that is an awesome thing to build for a young team. We're really tough to play in our own building. We've had a couple of, heartbreak, OT losers, that we still got to point out.
We can't win but we can't get out of our own way in overtime. I mean, there's been a lot of like questionable plays against them, like a pick play, but
we haven't reached those shootout levels of like 5 years ago when what was the record? I can't even remember what it was that we lost that many shootouts in a row.
But we went from being a lock every time we went into a shootout to every time we went into a shootout, we knew we were going to lose. It was the worst. Yeah. And it seems like every other game we're going into a shootout.
Yeah. But besides that, we've been really, really good at home. I think there's only 1 or 2 games at home that we haven't, had a point in. And I don't know what it's like there because I haven't been to the arena this season, living out on the West Coast. But from just watching on TV, it does seem like the fans, everyone out there listening, it does seem that like people are a lot more invested and interested in the Devils. And like there seems to be, that vibe, that little excitement, that buzz when I'm watching it on TV out here, on the West Coast. So that's all something that's all really good and positive. We're playing good at home and like our fans are really making noise. So, everyone should give themselves a little pat on the back for that bad boy.
Well, yeah, that's true. It's true to an extent. I mean, I feel like the fans are supportive and excited. And I got to say the attendance so far this year, it seems pretty good. On Monday night, it was a great crowd. Everybody came in there pretty jacked up. It was a Brian Boyle giveaway. He got the Masterson Trophy poster, which is pretty sweet. And I mean, like, honestly, you walked into the building and you felt good. And even though we were playing Tampa Bay, you still had a good feeling about the team being at home, like you said, their record at home, the way they play at home, and they just came out flat. And I mean, it was a game that they got booed in that game, and I haven't heard them get booed that loud in a long time. They were on the power play and they started getting booed.
Those power plays were brutal.
Oh my God. I was like sitting back in my seat and I stand up and I start yelling, "You don't boo your own blanking team." First of all, that is one of my biggest pet peeves. No matter how bad your team is.
Is that how you said it too? Yeah, don't blow your own blanking team, you young kids, whippersnappers.
This is a PG podcast, buddy. So get off my lawn. No, but honestly, sitting there and watching everybody boo the team, it's like one of my biggest pet peeves. It's like, why? I know we're frustrated, and don't get me wrong. How many times I rolled my eyes or just looked up at the heavens and was like, "Come on, like what is going on with this team?" But you don't boo your own team. Like I don't know. That has always been and always will be my biggest pet peeve. I know a lot of people will say, "Well, how are they going to know that we're frustrated?" Trust me, the moaning and groaning that's happening in the stands or the lack of cheering is one way. Silence says a lot more than a boo.
Yeah. I mean, I only heard, slight booing on the power plays just being, a complete failure, at certain points. We could not get into the zone. We could not set anything up. We could not cycle. It was just a way. So I think that was just more of a reaction to specific power play performance and the fact that everyone was super jacked up that night, and whoops, we ran into Tampa Bay once again. So
and don't get me wrong, Tampa Bay is ridiculously stacked.
They are so good. They're stacked like top to bottom.
Time out. What's up, Willie Bauman?
What do you mean?
Bauman's watching, so I just said what's up to him.
Oh, the Wowman is watching, huh?
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll post accordingly.
The highlight of that night, though, from that game is I got to hang out with Rob. I got to meet Rob in between the second and third. I felt bad because I went down to go meet him and all the diehards and take a picture with everybody, but I got lost. I couldn't find anybody, and I'm like wandering around like a moron and just kind of like ended up like looking up, and the second period started, so I ran back upstairs. But we also got to hang out with Pete, and it was awesome because meeting Pete, the organist, one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet. sat there and talked to me and my buddy Charlie, showed us his rig and the whole nine. Like, it was so fun because Charlie, being a music guy and like a band teacher, those two talked shop for a minute. You know, a lot of the things they were saying were going right over top of my head. But it was just so cool. Like, he was such a nice dude. Like, he was, you know, super accommodating and so nice. And, you know, I can't thank him enough for, you know, for hooking us up and for taking the time to like meet with us in between each period and after the game. So it was a lot of fun. And thanking, you know, I want to thank Rob for meeting me in between the second and third. We got to chat for a little bit. It was really cool. First time I actually got to meet him in person, so it was a lot of fun. And speaking of Rob and the diehards, we have the live event coming up soon. I know Sam's going to be talking about that a little bit later too. But yeah, overall, this team is confusing. It's like one night they have, you know, a pretty solid performance, and the next night they have, you know, a complete stinker. And sometimes they forget to play defense. Thank God that Anaheim so far has forgot to play defense tonight too. But you just hope they leave this West Coast trip with a good record and come home and pick up the pieces.
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, I think what the big thing is being able to play on the road. Like, if you really look at our home and away splits, we are amazing at home and we are absolutely terrible on the road. Like, it's ridiculous. It's kind of crazy, to tell you the truth. Like, are the difference in records and the goals for and goals against, like, on the road as opposed to at home. It just seems that when the Devils are at home, they play with this extra push, this extra like intensity that for some reason they're just not getting up to that point when they're on the road. Now, you know, maybe that's what they needed, was a struggling LA Kings team, you know, to come in here to a big arena, a big town. Like, you know, the Kings, I mean, I was surprised when I moved out here. The Kings are they're really big. And the Staples Center, by the way, is a massive arena. Like, if you ever
did you go to the game? You didn't go to the game, right?
I didn't. Dude, I'm not even gonna get into my actual work schedule this past week, but I was very bummed that I didn't go to the Kings game this year, and I'm not at the Ducks game tonight. However, the Devils are coming back, I believe, in January to Vegas, and Vegas is it's a 45-minute flight, and it's like a 3.5 hour drive. So one way or the other, I'm going to be going to the Devils Vegas game this year. You
could do the whole swingers, get dressed up in a suit, you know.
The turnaround, that's a famous thing out here in LA. You drive to Vegas, you party, and then you turn around and come back home, you know? Like, it's pretty crazy. But either way, maybe this is what the Devils needed, was to find a Kings team that is struggling in their own right. You know, yes, the 17 who will not be named did not play, you know. He's out with injury. Hurt.
Yeah,
maybe
his feelings hurt. That's
those shifts put on the fourth too long. You know, maybe he should just play regular ones. Superman. But anyway, we won't talk about old 17. We won't talk about that.
I will say this. He got put down to the fourth line, and all of a sudden his ankle hurts. I'm just saying. That's a little coincidental.
Wow.
I'm not playing 25 minutes. Why am I not playing 25 minutes? That's a normal game for me.
Yeah, right.
How is this not true? Now my wife
but maybe that's what they needed, was to come out here and be able to put up 6 goals against the Kings. You know, after getting smacked by Tampa Bay, coming out here, putting up 6 goals against the Kings, and now, you know, currently, you know, we are up 4-3 against Anaheim. We've got about a minute to go here. I don't know how much, you know, is how accurate my PlayStation View app is, but I mean, you know, they're looking good. They're scoring goals. They're starting to produce. Now, the only problem with that is Paul Mary has put in most of the scoring. You know, he's had 2 tonight. He had 2 the other night, right? Didn't he have 2 against LA, if I'm not mistaken? Or I believe so.
You know, I gotta say this.
We got to spread that out. You know, Taylor Hall has been an assist machine all season. He's been starting to heat up a little bit, which is good. Yeah, I mean, he's been starting to heat up. We need him goal-wise, though, too.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm going to say he has more points per game this year than he does last year at this point. So after, you know, 28 games or 29 games or whatever it is. So he's at right now a shade over a point per game, which is amazing. You know, it's another example.
No doubt. But he hasn't been goal scoring as much as he did last year. This year, I mean, his assist totals are through the roof, and he just had a breakaway that, you know, did not connect on. So, This game is very, very exciting, and it's good to see them playing with this type of, intensity and that, vibe that they do at home. This is how they play at home. They score goals, they pressure, they play well. Our defense is always going to be suspect, until we, clear that up eventually. Our defense is always going to be sort of, our weak link. What can we do for right now? Some of the guys are developing. Severson has been looking great. He scored tonight earlier on a beautiful slapper. I think it was over the shoulder of Ryan Miller. So, I mean, he's been looking real great. And, Scott, one thing I wanted to talk to you about. I know I texted you this the other week when I couldn't hop on the show. Man, I saw a glimpse of Nico and Jesper Bratt together, and it just reminded me so much of Patrick Elias and Peter Sikora when they were younger.
Oh, yeah. On the ice. You know what? We're gonna get into that in a little bit because I definitely want to talk about that too. But so right now, speaking of defense, we have Sam. Are you there? I don't know where Sam is. All right. Anyways, well, Sam said that our special guest is actually
Sam's getting our guest ready. Getting our guest
ready. So while we're waiting for our guest to come on, I do want to say I want to save that conversation for later because you brought up a really good point. And you have two kids that are really clicking, and sometimes when they're on the same line, they click really, really well. And sometimes you could see Jesper Bratt last year. I think he just hit a wall at a certain point where he started off really, really well, and then you could tell that the grueling and the grind of an NHL season gets to you. And you see that with, in basically every professional sport. You have a really good rookie or, you come out of the gates and you're firing all cylinders, and all of a sudden they start to tail off and everybody's like, whoa, what the hell happened? What, their production's down. A lot of times they're not used to playing this amount and the travel and everything else that goes into it, and, the full-time practices and everything else. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this season, kind of goes along for him. You want to see him continue to put some points up. You want to see he has a goal tonight. You want to see him continue to produce, and you want to just see like you said, you can't rely on that Kyle Palmieri line. Sorry, the second period just ended. So you don't want to have all your scoring be reliant on one line, because what happens is teams start to get wise about that and they start shutting that line down. And then when you try to do the stupid thing of breaking that line up to try to even out the scoring anywhere else, it doesn't really work because you don't have the same chemistry. A lot of that stuff happens because of the chemistry of the two guys on the same line, or three guys on the same line. Hall and Palmieri have a great connection. Right. It's one of those things that, like you said, Sikora and Elias, that was such a great connection. And it was such a shame, when he got traded, when Sikora got traded away, because and now this is all speculation, supposedly Lou didn't like the fact that the A-line was becoming bigger than the team, and didn't like the fact that the personalities of the A-line was becoming bigger than the crest on the front. So that's why he traded away Sikora. That is the rumor of why Sikora got traded out. But that was one of those trades
out too. It was all performance and contract as well. So
yeah, of course. And there's a lot more to it, but
they had such a chemistry together when they would do those drop passes. And I felt like, for a glimpse, we saw Nico and Jesper and Johansson together. And I don't know if it's just that, European thing. I just had that sense about them. And I just started thinking what would happen if they, put Zacha up in between, Palmieri and Taylor Hall, when Zajac was up there, which Zacha, goes a lot like, well, we could continue this in a little while. Yeah. But I believe our guest is here now.
Oh, absolutely. To all the listeners that are listening in right now, we have a special guest. We have Rebecca Morse from the Metropolitan Riveters on the line right now. Rebecca, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you? Thanks for throwing out the little shout out to my full Facebook name in there. Rebecca.
Yeah, you're here with Sam, Scotty, and Scott. Rebecca, my first question is, how did you actually get that nickname Moose? Where did that come from?
So growing up, I grew up playing for the New Jersey Colonials U12 team. I was 12 years old at the time. I had a player who had a slight speech impediment. So the way that she would pronounce my last name, Morse, sounded like Moose, and then everyone just started calling me that from there on out.
That's pretty cool.
That's a story. I've seen a real Moose though too, and actually took a picture with it up in Lake Placid where I went to high school.
Oh, that's great. Now I love your Twitter handle. It is at Moose _ capital X _ ING. Is that correct?
Yep, you got it.
That's when I see that, I see like Rebecca Morse, and then I see that Twitter handle. I find that hilarious.
Yeah, not only the Moose in there, but the two underscores with the X, with the capital X, hockey sticks crossing. So I thought that was pretty clever.
Very cool. Rebecca, this is Scott. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. The first question I have for you, first of all, is how did it feel last year winning the championship? A lot of us, we had Tatiana on last year, and we talked to her, I think it was right after you guys won, and there was so much excitement around the team. So what was it like for you for winning the championship last year?
It's hard to really put into words, honestly, especially winning it at home, in the state that I grew up in. Playing in New Jersey is pretty special to begin with, but to be able to win in front of my friends and family was just an amazing feeling, have them all there in attendance, and the celebration afterwards. But I think we felt going into the season that it was our year. I wasn't with the Riveters during the first season, but I think from what I've heard, every year, they kind of had a tough season that first season. Didn't win many end games, unfortunately, but then the second season, that was when I joined the team, and it sort of seemed like things were looking up. The depth of our team definitely got stronger, I think, and we were a real contender in the league. And the third season last year, I think we felt that even more, with the group that we brought back, and as well as the players that we added. We thought that we were the team to beat, and we had a pretty successful season, going 11 games undefeated. So I think we faced our adversity sort of probably at the time that we wanted to towards the end of the season, but definitely just handled that professionally, and really proud of the way that we went about that, and then really finished the season strong and came out champions.
Very cool. Now, did you guys get a day with the cup that's similar to how they do in the NHL, or?
Absolutely, and I actually got
that's cool.
a while with the cup. It was more than a day. I was one of just the way that it happened with the exchange, getting it from the player before me and handing it off next. But I had it for a week, took it almost everywhere, brought it into work a day, brought it even to see fireworks. I go to this fireworks show every year. It's actually after 4th of July, which doesn't make much sense, but it's that amazing that they have to hold it after the 4th of July and get everyone there. But took it everywhere, had a party, got to share it with my friends and family, and it was just amazing. I never wanted to let it go. I took it to the My Grade Jersey Expo as well, and it was a long week with the cup. I felt like I got to do everything, though. Again, I was very lucky to have it that long.
That's so cool.
That's very awesome. Hey, Rebecca, this is Scotty to go along with Scott, who you were just talking to, just so you don't get confused. I'd like to get that out of the way. There is Scott and Scotty. So thank you for joining us, first off. I just have a question. Growing up in New Jersey, what were some of your, earliest experiences, with hockey, albeit like going to Devils games or, something like that?
So the way that I got into hockey when I was a kid growing up in the 90s, the sport has grown exponentially. for the last 2 decades. And when I was a kid, and even particularly with girls and women in the U.S., it's one of the fastest growing sports, girls hockey. So things are a little bit different now than when I was growing up. But I grew up on a cul-de-sac, and I had a neighbor. Everyone would always play out. All the neighborhood kids would play out in the street, every single sport. But I had a neighbor who was a huge Devils fan and a big Marty Brodeur fan specifically. And he really got me into it, got me to start following the team. And he would, shoot pucks in his driveway. And eventually we got all the kids in the neighborhood to play because my cul-de-sac was sort of shaped like a rink. My dad got us regulation size nets, 2 of them, so we could actually play the whole game. And that's really where I fell in love with the game and learned how to skate. Obviously, roller hockey is a bit different. But I was just playing, for fun in the cul-de-sac and didn't really realize that girls could play hockey. My brother started skating on ice. We took some skating lessons and then played in rec leagues together. He then went on to play travel, and he's younger than me, 2.5 years younger than me. So I had that foundation, from just playing, messing around. But I really learned from watching him, his practice, all of his practices and all of his games. And then one day I just, went up to my dad. At the time, soccer was my sport. Played a little bit of everything, but that was really my favorite sport. One day, I think it was after a soccer practice even, I just went up to my dad and I was like, Dad, I want to play hockey. So that's really how it started. I tried out for some teams and started playing girls hockey. And took it from there.
I tell you what, if either of my daughters ever come up to me and tell me that, Dad, I want to play hockey, I think I might cry. I think that might be my happiest day. Now, what made you want to become a defenseman?
I mean, when you're young, a lot of times it's the players who can skate backwards who end up actually just going to defense. A lot of times the bigger kids too. I don't know. I kind of wanted to do it all when I was a kid, to be honest. I also wanted to be a goalie, but my brother was the goalie, and having more than one goalie in the family, I didn't feel like putting my parents through that. So, or rather, at the time, I probably didn't realize it, but they just weren't really into that. They didn't say no. I tried it, but playing in the cul-de-sac or in my basement's a little bit different from on the ice, and I think I realized that I wasn't as good as I thought I would be. But I tried a little bit of every position, and from defense, I think I just felt like I could see the ice better because the whole play is in front of you. And I was also more of an offensive defenseman, and I liked that, having that role, and being able to stop the opposing team from scoring, but also put a few pucks in the net. So I really just felt like that's naturally where I gravitated to. I also liked poke checking a lot, and again, being able to skate backwards, I think that was definitely a skill that I had. So naturally, coaches just wanted to put me there, probably.
So when you went to default for being good.
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
I said defense by default for being good at what you can do.
No, I don't know if I would say that, but a lot of times it's sort of, where you when you're young, you fill in where you're needed, and even now too, myself playing a little bit forward as well. You just want to play. So wherever that may be, it's the game of hockey is fun. And growing up, coaches always told me that you should be 5 interchangeable players, 5 people on the team. So I always try to do that regardless of what position I was in. Fill your spot where, not necessarily where you should be, but just taking everything in and figuring out, how best as a 5-person unit to achieve the goal.
So I kind of want to go back a little bit in time. So when you went to Providence, first of all, for Devil fans, we have like such a connection to Providence because of Lou Lamoriello. But when you went to Providence, did you have any other schools in mind, or was that it? Or was like you just wanted to go to Providence? Was it just a toss up between a couple different schools, or was that 100% the one that you wanted to go to?
I felt pretty strongly about Providence, and the reason behind that was I did a lot of camps in high school in the summer, and part of that's to get recruited, but also, that's the time to really, you're out of season, really develop your skills and work at it off the ice as well as on the ice. But I went to a camp, and it actually was in Rhode Island, interestingly enough, but my coach for the camp was the assistant coach from Providence at the time. She also played at Providence. She was very passionate about the program, and I just connected with her really well through the camp. I felt like, sometimes it's difficult to talk to coaches when you're, a kid, and there's so much pressure and competition, trying to get recruited and have the coaches notice you and like you. And I just felt like I could talk to her like she was, somebody that I had known for a while, like a friend, more like a mentor, but she was just really easy to talk to, and I didn't feel that pressure at all that I felt maybe talking to other coaches. And a lot of it probably had to do with the fact that she was my coach, and she wasn't her number one goal. So not trying to find, who am I going to take from this camp, but more so just to help develop the players. So that's really where it started. And we, later down the road, she had reached out, and I was already very interested in the program. It's, one of the most prestigious women's hockey programs.
Oh, for sure.
And so that definitely helped. But when I visited the campus, I loved it. There were other schools that I was looking at, but Providence was definitely the front runner from the start, because I think I went to that camp after my sophomore year of high school. So that was pretty early on, and didn't forget that. Definitely wanted to pursue Providence as an option down the road when I started considering schools and, going through the whole recruiting process more heavily.
I think it's pretty cool too. And just to mention, you did get Hockey East All Rookie Team as a freshman, correct?
Yes.
That's a pretty high honor. I mean, Providence is, if people don't, a lot of people that follow the NHL, it's really sad because the collegiate level is not as prevalent as it is in the NFL with college football. But Providence is a big deal. Going to Providence is, especially like you said, the women's team there, the women's program there is one of the best in the country. So that's a really big honor.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a very strong freshman year. Probably the way my collegiate career went, I probably would have liked to, start more slowly and, get better and peak my senior year, which I sort of felt for me, it was kind of the opposite. But I went in, and a lot of it's mental too, quite frankly, because you're a freshman, and a lot of times nobody expects you to perform, because the transition from high school to college hockey is a lot faster, a lot more physical, anytime you're jumping to the next level. So a lot of times, teammates, coaches will give the freshmen, cut the freshmen more slack maybe, because they're going through that adjustment period and, being on your own, living on your own. I already had lived on my own going to prep school, but I stepped right in, and I just felt like it was it was obviously still a challenge to go to the next level, but I think that I didn't feel as much pressure. And then maybe, as you get older, there's, down the line, there's more pressure to perform because if you're an upperclassman. But I didn't feel any of that. I was just, trying to play hockey and have fun and, keep my head above water with school and everything and, living in a new place. But yeah, I had a great freshman year. I think we had a really strong team, and it was obviously a huge honor to make the all-rookie team.
Hey, Rebecca, just curious here. This is Scotty again, not Scott. This is Scotty. Just curious about, You were talking earlier about, looking up to your brother playing and stuff like that. How do you feel as someone now playing in this professional women's league, as being a role model for young girls out there all over the place who are trying to look up to someone like them, in a tough sport that is, historically been like male, dominant. So how do you take that responsibility of, being that role model to these young kids?
Well, to be honest, it feels like everything has sort of come full circle. I didn't really I had female mentors to look up to when I was growing up, but most of them, to be honest, were male and played for the Devils. That's naturally just going to happen. That's the team there. But again, women's hockey wasn't as big as it is now. So I don't take it lightly at all. It's definitely an honor to have that responsibility. I know how much, if I was in, these little girls' shoes, how much it would mean to me. So I just try to always have that in the back of my head, and always be unselfish as far as their time and answering any questions, signing autographs, getting involved at the youth level with clinics on the ice and whatnot. Tell you a little story from earlier today, actually.
Yeah.
We had a team after our games, the Union Thunder, they play out of Union Sports Arena, and a bunch of those girls were at our game. And after, a few of my teammates and I went and talked to them and, signed autographs. And I kept looking in the back of the crowd, and there was this girl, and her dad was standing next to her, and he kept pointing at me. And I picked up on that as he was doing it. And then somebody said, "Oh, these girls are from Westfield," a few of them on the team. And I grew up in Westfield. So I made a point to talk to them and be like, "Hey, what school do you guys go to?" Like, "Oh, I went to this school." And it's really just warmed my heart that girl and that dad, I wasn't in equipment, so they might not have known what I looked like. And the fact that they did, it made me really happy, because they know that this girl, plays for the Riveters, grew up playing hockey in New Jersey and in Westfield, where I grew up when I play hockey. So it's just really special to see all that, that comes full circle, and to be able to provide these girls with something that I didn't have growing up. I accept that responsibility and, want to be that person, that role model for them.
That's great.
This is back to the other Scott. I almost said regular Scott, but but
yeah, I don't want to be irregular Scott. Okay.
But honestly, though, as a father of two girls and an avid hockey enthusiast, I love the game. I love every aspect about it. I love everything that you guys do, and it makes me so proud to know that we have a team in New Jersey of so many amazing women such as yourself that are incredible role models for my daughters in the future when they hopefully decide to play. And for a lot of, I'm a teacher, so a lot of my students that are little girls that play hockey too. And now that the Riveters and the Devils have this amazing partnership, it seems like they're getting more exposure. And a lot of these girls are coming into my classroom, which I have some Devils gear up, and I got my first little Riveters poster up on my wall too. A lot of these girls are coming into class and they're like, "Oh my goodness," like they're so excited about you and about this team and the fact that there's like this presence. And I know you guys have had open skates before and stuff like that. I just think it's so, as Scotty was saying, it's so incredible to see what kind of an impact that you and your team in the league is having, not just in New Jersey, but hopefully it's going to be good. I know they just added another team in Minnesota, but hopefully it's going to keep growing and growing beyond just the 5 teams that we have in the league now. But thank you so much for everything that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can. And yeah, but just like you said, the goal of the league is obviously to expand, and we're doing that slowly. I think we've made a lot of progress in 3+ short years. So I'm just excited to see what's next. And I definitely, whether I'm playing or taking on a different role within the league, I definitely want to always be involved just because of, being a part of it firsthand. It's truly amazing and fun to be a part of and be in the early stages of it. And, think about, 30 years down the road, what it's going to look like.
Mm-hmm. We have one of our friends on Facebook, Jason D. Ryan. He said, "My daughter loves Rebecca." And then Joe, one of our followers too, had a quick question for you. I said, "Rebecca, do you plan on teaching the NWHL style hockey abroad in other countries?"
Ooh, I like that question. And the first person that you mentioned is actually the one I was talking about, who got me into
no
hockey.
Kidding.
Yeah. I'll have to thank him for giving us that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, we played team from Sweden in the beginning of the season, 2 exhibition games, and the prior 2 seasons we've played the Russian national team. So I think the goal is definitely to expand, within the U.S., but also get exposure in Europe. And I think that question actually is something that we could potentially be looking to do down the road, because there's talent beyond just the U.S. and Canada. And, you see it in the NHL with a ton of European players, whether it's been Finnish, Russian, Swedish. The talent is all over, and hockey's big there too. So we've actually seen a lot of European players get added to the league within the last year or two. So it's definitely how the sport is going to grow. We can't just grow it, in North America. We have to grow it across the country, and you see them, doing that everywhere, not just North America and Europe. But that would be pretty cool to have an opportunity, to travel over there and try and grow the game even more, because the best talent, we want to make the league as competitive as it can be, and talent is going to come from beyond, again, just North America.
Rebecca, this is Sam. We talked before through email about transitioning from being a defenseman to a forward. How's that transition going for you right now, and what are the differences you see from being a natural defenseman going to left wing? What's been the toughest part about that?
So I played a little bit of forward. I had a couple stints in college. Then they were very brief stints, so I couldn't even really get a chance to adjust at that point. But my first season with the Riveters, I played a little bit of forward, and it is a challenge because you grow up your whole life playing one position, not too much exposure to forward. You see the game differently, especially going defensive forward. When you're, as I mentioned earlier, when you play defense, everything's in front of you. The puck is starting with you a lot of times on the breakout, and you really can see the whole ice. And it makes it a lot easier in that situation to communicate as well, and let your teammates know what's going on around them. And I've been playing a little bit of wing the last 3 seasons, and I think my biggest challenge is on the breakout. Picking up the puck on the half wall on boards, and that defenseman could be crashing down on you, and it's hard to sort of see behind you and whole ice in front of you. So you need to either feel that pressure, know to take a quick look over your shoulder before the puck comes to you. You're reading everything and taking everything in. So that's probably been the biggest adjustment. I think the offensive part of, just having that touch around the net and being able to score goals. Not like I don't have that role by any means, the goal scorer role. I think more it's just, playing a sound game defensively and offensively. And I think that I can bring that defensive aspect, just with my experience at defense, just being responsible with the puck. But on the flip side, also just, grinding. And another adjustment that I will mention, definitely the skating, because some defense, sometimes, the puck's ahead of you, your forward has the puck and it's on the rush. you can, you should always get up the ice quickly, but you can sort of take your time a little bit more. Whereas, forward, you always got to get up on the play and, move your feet first before anything. And that's been a bit of an adjustment too. But it's definitely something that I've seen as a challenge and really tried to embrace. And for a while, I think last season, I felt more comfortable at forward than defense. And, when I would go back to defense, even in some drills in practice, after not playing there for a while, then defense started to feel kind of weird. And I'm like, can I even skate backwards anymore? Like, what is this? But I've definitely one thing I've tried to take into this season is when I'm playing a little bit of both and jumping in drills and defense when, say we're down a defenseman for practice, just getting in there and making sure that I'm brushing up on my skills again. Cause you never know when I, might get called up to play defense and then, the next game forward. So I just want to make sure something individually that I've tried to do is just keeping those skills that are a little bit more specific to those respective positions, just keeping those fresh and well,
it's
making sure to skate back once in a while.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a different mindset because, being a defenseman, you have to be aware not to get in front of your goalie and screen your own goalie. And then once you transition to forward, it's just a completely different mindset. But, I made that, transition as well back in college. And it's just almost a different game. And flip-flopping back, and I'm thinking like Dustin Byfuglien, some of the guys in the NHL that have done that. It's amazing just how different it is. And you're right, as a defenseman, the puck's in front of you, the play's in front of you, but as a forward, the breakouts, you're the one receiving the breakout right away and pushing the puck up the ice. It's definitely a tough transition, but at the same time, getting in front of the crease, that in itself, a defenseman, you're always pushing people out, whereas a forward, you're just crashing right in front of the goalie. So, but yeah, that's it's definitely a different type of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to ask you, number 9. What made you choose number 9?
Zach or Taylor?
In high school and college, and then Tatiana Rafter, who you actually interviewed last year, you said had number 7. So I had to find a different number, and yeah, I'm definitely. It's so hard to choose between Parisi and Hall.
I think everybody would pick Hall now.
My favorite all-time Devils. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say Hall because obviously Parisi isn't with the team anymore, and Hall was when I made the decision. But I've always liked the numbers 7, 8, and 9. So it was between 8 and 9, and yeah, I thought it was pretty fitting. Just being in New Jersey and taking that number with Hall being.
Well, if you're gonna move out from defense, you got to have that 9 on there. That's the gunner. That's the big score. So we're expecting big things now.
I know everybody says that. I'm like, I'm no Taylor Hall, but I definitely have. And tried to watch him. I think that's the biggest way that I'm learning is watching other players, whether it's my teammate in practice, who play forward, who play at the wing, just to sort of pick up on some of their habits, but also watching Devils games because I try to watch almost every Devils game and do watch the ones that I can, with my hockey schedule. But I'm constantly trying to watch, pick one player on the ice, one forward, generally wings. That's what I play. And just focus on what they're doing on that shift. And a lot of times that does end up being Taylor Hall.
How many times do you take that train from the Westfield train station there and go over to the Prudential Center?
More often than not, I drive, but I do take the train
Okay.
when I'm going to games sometimes. It really depends. A lot of times I'll be going to practice anyway, or I'll be coming from work. So I'm already driving, but I took the train.
Work? Did you say that you're coming from work? So, playing hockey, that's work?
That's not I'll never be able to call that work.
So when you're at the arena, do you ever get the chance to cross paths with any of the Devils, or do you guys get a chance to kind of like go over and talk shop with any of the guys on the team?
No, unfortunately not. I wish that we did, but a lot of times they're practicing during the day and we're practicing at night, so they're long gone. The only times they're really there at night is when we're practicing, is if they're playing a game, during our practice. So that aspect of it definitely has been nice. Sometimes being able to just go watch the first period of their game before our practice, but no, they're busy, they're traveling and not really there at the same times that we are. So it just hasn't worked out that way.
See, we were saying when we had Tatiana on, we were talking about different ideas to kind of like help promote the game, or at least, and the NHL in general just needs to be promoted better. But that's just a whole nother conversation for another time. But I think it would be so cool to have the NWHL and NHL All-Star games be aligned, where everybody comes together, and you even have the skill competition where you have a little bit of both, and you kind of like mix and match and do some skill competitions where they team up between the two leagues. I think that'd be so fun, and it'd be so good for both leagues, really, and it'd be a great promotion and a great way to get everybody out there and get your names out there and get everybody kind of excited about it even more so than they already are.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually. And there definitely needs to be better alignment between our league and the NHL. You see it with the NBA and WNBA, and that's been working for them. So that's definitely a goal that we've had in mind. With our partnership with the Devils and the Buffalo Buttes and the Buffalo Sabres and the owner of those teams, Pagula Sports and Entertainment, as well as the Minnesota Whitecaps partnership with the Wild. So I think that we're sort of trying to get there and trying to be better aligned with NHL, because again, the goal, we have the same mission at the end of the day, to grow the sport of hockey, and that includes at the grassroots level, young boys and girls. So
exactly, it was so great to see what the women's national team did for in the Olympics, and how everybody in the entire country was so excited about women's hockey. And it would be so nice for them to just take that and use that as a springboard to help promote the game. And if I understand correctly, there's been rumors that there's talks of other teams being expanded, or that the league might expand further beyond the Whitecaps. Do you know if that's true or not?
I think they're always working behind the scenes to do that, because 5 teams. Obviously, the NHL started with 6, but they need to build a sustainable product. So
yeah.
Obviously, the goal is to expand, and I don't unfortunately have any insider information on how we're going to do that, what that's going to look like. If I had to guess, I would think starting in the Northeast, sort of what we've been doing just for travel reasons. We added the team in Minnesota, and that's a flight. But I think adding in markets like maybe even another one in ours in the metropolitan area, or Philly, or something like Pittsburgh, because it's bigger in the Northeast. It makes sense, and travel wise. So I think that, again, those things are going on behind the scenes, and it could be next year, it could be a few years from now, and it could be one team or multiple. So I'm really excited to see how that sort of unfolds.
Hey, Rebecca, I just have one more question for you. And by the way, Scott, that was actually a good idea. You shoot a couple good ones out there every now and then about the men and women combining for the All-Star game. That's pretty good.
I think
Did
I'm
someone
not
tell you
joking.
that? You didn't think of that yourself.
No, I did think of that myself.
You did think of that yourself. Don't try and play that off.
It would be
Rebecca, I just have one more quick question for you. What advice do you have to give out there to, any young girl or boy, it doesn't matter. You're a role model to everyone. What advice do you have to them, growing up looking for their dream?
Just to, play hockey, and if you love it, and keep pursuing it, but balance is really important, not just, with other aspects of your life, like education, your social life, but also, playing other sports. I think that definitely helped me. Unfortunately, I had to stop playing other sports probably a little sooner than I wanted to, but I just loved hockey so much that that's all I wanted to do. But just, things can get so competitive, and there's a lot of pressure. So just making sure to keep doing it for the right reasons, and always make it fun, because, hockey is a commitment, obviously. Definitely one of the more expensive sports, and a lot of travel. So if you don't love it, then it's really just a waste of time. But just working hard too, and that's something that I've always tried to do, and doing well in sort of seeing like a 1A, 1B type thing, where you're just not letting yourself get too in your own head with anything, and also just keeping in with excuse me, keeping in line with that, having fun with it, because it's always been fun for me. And I try to treat, what my dad would tell me before I get on the ice for every game would be, pretend like you're playing out on the pond. And I fortunately had the opportunity to do that a bit growing up, and I think that's where I felt the most free and not confined by any, by like a regulation size sheet of ice, or no boards, no lines, essentially no rules. And I think that in doing that, a lot of times I could just let my instincts carry me, and I think that's when I'm not playing my best. So just to always remember those times, that you're having the most fun, because when you're in the spotlight, it could, and you're feeling that pressure, it can just feel like it's not as much fun. But you always want to make sure, to enjoy the times on the ice, but also away from the ice with your teammates, because that's the biggest thing that I could take away from my experience, is the people that I've met along the way, and also the people behind the scenes who are doing those things to make sure that you're at your best. I think a lot of times those people don't get appreciated enough, and just you're giving up your time and that commitment to be where you are, but you're the one who's out on the ice doing what you love. So you need to make sure to appreciate those people who are, whether it's your parents getting you to the rink, coaches, trainers, whoever's helping you along the way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for your time, and thank you for everything. Seriously, thank you.
Yeah.
One last thing. One last thing, Rebecca. You're going to be appearing at Mother's Ale House on December 15th from 2 to 4. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. We're going to have fun.
Yeah, we can't wait to meet you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to meet you guys. It's an all-day event, 2 p.m. through the end of the Devils game, probably end around 11. But really looking forward to it. It's benefiting Oasis, which is their little tagline is a haven for women and children. It's a toy drive. So I'm just really excited. It's a great cause, and I'm really excited to be a part of it along with the Devils Diehards Facebook group.
There you go.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Rebecca. We'll see you soon on Saturday.
Woo!
Looking forward to it, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thanks, number 9.
That is Rebecca Morse of the Metropolitan Riveters. She's a very nice person, guys.
Dude,
I like
awesome.
that interview. There was a lot of great ideas, about promoting the game, and I think, a lot of these women take upon that responsibility. And watching this startup grow from something so little and starting to expand. Of course, they're looking for the sustainability to expand the league, and they have to do it slowly and slowly work into those markets and not get ahead of itself where we've seen like the XFL just like blew up in 1 year, something like that. I think they're doing a great job. And it's people like Rebecca and the other players. They're just really great role models.
I agree. And I mean, one of the things that they have going against them, and it's unfortunate, and it's the same thing with the NHL, is that college hockey is not as prevalent as, college basketball. Even the women's game in college basketball is still very popular and more so, I hate to say it, but more so than the WNBA itself. But a lot of the names that you'd see, like Diana Taurasi from, her days in Connecticut with UConn, she was able to, basically transcend the sport. And, there's people like myself. I personally don't watch basketball, but I know who she is. I know she was an amazing basketball player, and her career, she went into the WNBA and, it was able to or people like her were able to carry that sport. And I mean, it's incredible for them, but unfortunately, college hockey is not on that same level as college basketball. And that's another thing. That's another sport that, we need to get out there and we need to push. And, they have one of the greatest events ever with the Frozen Four. And there's a lot of amazing teams and a lot of amazing kids and it's crazy because something that's different about college hockey that's different about like most college sports is, you have kids that are playing in college. They're already committed to a professional team. They've already been drafted. You know what I mean? So you have kids that are, out there, like, for example, Riley Walsh for the Devils, who plays for Harvard, out there, he's playing in college, but he's already assigned to an NHL team. He's already been drafted. So I think it's something that's a little bit of a wrinkle that is always so cool that I always found really neat. But yeah, the game, the NHL, the promotion has never really been there, and I hopefully one day they'll get it through. Do you remember, Scotty, when we were kids in the height of the Gretzky era, and the NHL was like really
popular?
Bad news. Yeah, I'm sorry. My phone just gave me a notification.
Oh, what, that Andy Green baseball batted the puck into our own goal, into our own net? Yeah, that just happened.
Is that why they're winning? Is that why Anaheim's winning 5-4? And I think that's the second goal in the game. The second time we scored against ourselves in the game today.
Yeah, I saw it and I thought it was a high stick at first, and then I realized it was actually Andy Green's stick that was hitting it in.
Oh, God. Come on, boys. Listen, I said it before. I'll say it again. Our buddy Joe can attest to this because he can send over the mock draft. But if the Devils are going to have a rough year, if you're going to suck, this is the year to do it, because there is a lot of high end talent in this draft that's going to be at the top of that board. So I hate to say it, but every time they lose, I'm not as sad as I normally would be, because I'm like, damn it, Jack Hughes. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said, we've talked about it many times. I don't see them being a 1, 2, or 3 seed. If they do get into the playoffs, they're going to be a bubble team like they were last year. And I don't see us being able to make a deep run the way we're constructed right now. 2 years from now, there might be a little something different, once we get some of these younger prospects up. And, hey, if we do get a monster draft pick again, to pair him with Nico, that's pretty good,
Dude, I tell you, it's bad when my old man starts texting me. I can't read what he wrote because it's a lot of expletives. But
yeah, I mean, you got to watch the replay later. Andy Green's reaction after the batting it in is quite priceless too.
Yeah. Bauman just told us Lovejoy and Green tonight, so that's pretty nice.
Yeah,
but yeah, honestly, this is my hope.
These are the defensive points we were talking about, fellas. Come on.
Exactly. My hope and dream is that they're bad enough that they secure that number 1 or 2 spot in draft through the lottery, which is always a crapshoot. I understand, but they get that 1 or 2 draft pick because there's the top 5 kids in the draft are you can't miss. You know what I mean? Right. Like in Nico's draft, it was like you had Patrick and Nico, and it was just like, oh, outside of that, there was a lot of like decent players, but there weren't any like home run hitters like, Austin Matthews and Line A, that draft class, or
Connor McDougal.
Connor McDavid. By the way, speaking of Austin Matthews,
should have been Connor McDougal. That would have been wonderful if he was Connor McDougal.
Oh my god, he should have been that year. Should have been. Because Corey bailed us out in too many games towards the end of the year, and our draft number went up. So it was kind of one of those things where like, just suck. Corey, just suck.
Yeah,
he played. He played good and win these pointless games at the end of the year, and you're like, God damn! I'm like, come on.
We're building momentum for next season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all right. I saw something that was so interesting that I didn't even think about. So Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner are going to be restricted free agents next year. It doesn't happen a lot, and this is something that's pretty rare. Really? And the last time it happened, yeah, they're restricted though. So you got to hear me out with this. So the last time this happened was back in 2013 with Ryan O'Reilly. What I'm alluding to is when you have a restricted free agent, you can give them what the hell is it called? Now my brain is having a fart. You can get an offer sheet. There we go. Thanks, Brain.
Offer sheet.
You can put in an offer sheet for a player, and then I think it's up until July 1st that the other team has a chance to match it, and if not, then you get them. It's restricted free agency is like a weird thing. And then if you get him, then you have to send compensation back to the other team, but it's nowhere near what it would be if you had to like actually trade for him. It's a kind of a D-bag thing to do.
Compensation?
It's draft pick and something else. Like usually it's draft pick and money or something like that. But it's a D-bag thing to do, and nobody ever does it because it's a D-bag thing to do. Ryan O'Reilly did it with when he was with Colorado, and I think he tried to sign with the Flames, and then Colorado ended up matching the offer sheet. And it was like null and void. And I think Weber did it with Philadelphia when he was with Nashville or something like that. And then Nashville matched it, so it didn't really matter. But you're looking at a Toronto team that is going to be super tight to the cap. And if a team goes in there and gives Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner for that matter, because both players, I mean, Matthews is Matthews. The dude is an absolute stud. But Mitch Marner is nothing to sneeze at. He's
injury problems though.
For which one, Matthews?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I would definitely put an offer sheet out for Matthews and worry about getting him dinged up, because he might get dinged up and might be out for a week, but he'll come back and score like 30 goals in 2 games. Like
that's true.
Austin Matthews, if the Devils are going to do that, and I don't think they will. If they do,
after all that, I don't really think this is going to happen. But
I don't think they will. It's a pipe dream, man. It's a pipe dream. Most of this stuff is a pipe dream. But hey, listen, imagine this. Just picture this, all right? Put this in your brain. So,
give it to me.
Devils
Golden
sucks
Girls.
bad.
Picture this. Sicily.
It's Newt.
Yeah.
Having brunch. No, so you think about it this way: if the Devils suck this bad and they end up getting the number 1 pick in the draft, they can draft Jack Hughes in free agency. They can add a Jordan Eberle. Right there, you just shored up. You have your top line, the Triple H line, which they come out to Triple H's theme music every game. I'm putting a patent on that.
Time to play the game.
Dude, how sick would that be? Hughes, Heischer, and Hall. That would be an insane line. You have that as your top line. Your second line, you have Zajac and Eberle, and fill in the blank with who cares. Throw in a third guy, Zajac, to be on that line. You have two top.
I think you just put him on there
lines.
twice, but okay. Yeah.
No. Zajac would be on the second. Come on, man. I'm living in fantasy land. But imagine if they put in that offer sheet for Austin Matthews. They were able to get him. The Devils, with the cap going up, because in the NHL, the cap is going to be going up. So the Devils could possibly have $36 million in cap space next year. That's insane.
Listen, yeah, if there's any team that has the cap space, we know that we have it. We just have to, I don't know. I've been a fan of what Ray has done, and I kind of trust in some of these moves that he's making. I feel like we're headed in the right direction, but we're too young still. We're still too young.
Oh, thank you. I'm a big Rebecca Morse fan right now, and I had to figure out how to get my headset on these antlers of the moose head that I'm wearing right now. You guys like that?
Very nice.
Oh man,
very
the Devils just tied it up 5-5. Thanks, Joe. This is. I want to watch the game. Maybe I'll just put it on my phone. Tied it up 5-5.
I've been keeping it on my phone. Now I'm in anticipation because my. Oh yeah. We just scored on my phone, so.
Well, you could say who scored. It's okay as long as you don't give a play-by-play of what's going on.
I think it was Johansson, actually.
Good for him.
So,
and he's been
good.
This
is nice. We're tied up. It's under this happened under a minute to go in the game too. So good for them fighting back like that. That's what we want to see on the road.
Goalie, and it looks like we pulled the goalie for that one too. So this is twice that Johansson has done this for us this year. With the goalie,
this is what we were talking about. These are the Devils that we see at home. We need to start seeing these Devils out on the road fighting back. Anaheim is a good team. The Kings that we talked about, got the problems.
Right
but, the Devils playing the Ducks here like this. The Ducks are a good team, and that they're fighting back and not giving up and just going to bed. This is how they're playing at home. We need to see this on the road consistently, because if we just get that record up on the road a little bit, we'll be a much better team.
No, exactly. I've kind of I'm not going to play the game onto my phone because I want to watch the last minute here, and I'm not going to say what's going on, but I will just say that what scares me is
let's try for an OT winner this time. We've had so many OT losers. Let's try for an OT winner tonight. Let's break that streak and start a new one.
If this game goes into overtime, the only thing that I can think in my head is if Nico gets the puck on his stick and they have a 2-on-1, if he doesn't shoot the puck, I'm going to throw my phone through my.
Just shoot it. Just shoot the puck. Oh man, reminds me of being at Continental back in the day, just hearing everyone screaming, "Shoot the puck!"
You know what my favorite thing, and all three of us know hockey well enough that when you sit up high and you watch the game, sometimes you can see how like a play unfolds, and like you can tell like when they have it, an alley to shoot the puck, and what they're looking at when people are sitting next to you going shoot. They're like, you can't, you moron. If he shoots it, the defenseman, and then there's going to be an on-man rush going the other way. Stupid. My feeling towards fans sometimes. I love you all, but sometimes you piss me off so mad.
They mean well. Everyone means well. We just want to see the double score. Yeah. But this is good. I love seeing this. From the boys, like having this fight on the road, because they have not had it this whole season. The road has just been atrocious. They play with no will, no desire, and now they're making a comeback. After that, watch the replay later, Scott. Okay. The replay of the green own goal is.
I'm gonna watch.
So to come back from that, rather than just bury your head in the sand and just say, let's put this one out to bed. Let's put this. This is just a wash for tonight. Oh, that wouldn't. That's not going to happen all the time. No, they battle back, and that's what we like to see.
One of the things that I got to say though is now that it's going into overtime, as fans, are we able to make predictions? Is that all right? Is that safe to say? Can we make a little overtime prediction to see what will happen?
I think we're all going to predict Devils win.
Right now, I want to say It's up to you, buddy, by the way. That's up to you. But I want to say Sami Vatanen in overtime, scoring against his former team.
Oh, yeah?
That's what I'd like to see. Wait, what is it? Oh, there's 3.9 seconds left that they said.
I say Kyle Palmieri.
With the Hattie?
For the hat trick?
Getting a Hattie?
For the hat trick?
Getting a Hattie?
Yep.
That'd be pretty sweet.
That would be an amazing thing against his former team.
It would be. I feel like we owe it to everybody to just sit here and not give it play-by-play. We're not going to be talking about what's going on. But we'll hang out until the end of the game to talk to everybody and see what's going on. Okay.
We have to come up with a next time we do something, we're going to have to come up with a Devils holiday wish list. We should ask everyone on Facebook to come up with some of their own ideas for maybe some trades, maybe some players, maybe some development. You know, what direction or what little gifts do you want to see the Devils pick up this holiday season? You know, what's your holiday wish list, Devils fans? You know, hit us up on the Facebook page and, you know, shoot us some comments about what you think we should do with the team. Are you in the boat of Scott over there and tank away? You want to tank? Or,
I'm not saying tank. I'm just saying it's okay to tank.
Well, I know. I'm just, you know, just for points of example. Or do
Joe
you feel
says,
the need that we should go? Should we go and be a playoff bubble team? Should we try to add someone at the trade deadline as opposed to maybe like stock it up on some more draft picks and some young prospects? You know, what do you guys out there, Devils fans, think that the team should be doing? Hit us up on Facebook. Let us know.
As far as our predictions,
Let's go Devils
Facebook
podcast
group. Yes, Joe from our Facebook group is saying that did the Ducks change their goalie for overtime?
No, Miller got hurt. I think it was Palmieri had a little break and he crashed into the net.
Yeah, but it looked like somebody else. I don't know. I don't know enough about the Ducks.
Gibson came in. Gibson came in. Miller came out.
Oh, interesting. So one of the things that I wish that the Devils would do for a holiday miracle is if they are going to make any kind of playoff run. If they are going to make a playoff run, it would be nice to see them. You know, if obviously they're going to have to shore up the blue line, so then it comes down to a question of like who's going to be selling. You look at teams like Chicago, who are in the crapper. You look at teams. By the way, how crazy Chicago and LA, who have won 5 of the last. I don't know. I forget what it was. 5 of the last 12 Stanley Cups or something like that. Are in dead last. Pretty much tied for. It just shows you.
I mean, those contracts, man. Kane and Taze. I mean, those and Keith as well. They're all superstars, but eventually they were going to come back to bite them.
And that's the thing is one of those things is those. You know, I have a buddy who's a not Joe Morella, a diehard Blackhawks fan who actually knows a lot about the Blackhawks. Oh, Adam Henrique's out there. Please, Henrique, please don't break my heart. Please don't break my heart.
Yeah, I don't need a Henrique. It's over tonight. You know, we had that glory.
No, thank you. Oh, nice glove save. So, anyways, you know, you look at those teams like the Kings. You look at the team, you know, like Chicago, teams that are like you said, buried in contracts. They did it the right way. They struck while the iron was hot. You know what I mean? You can't fault them for like they went it all in and they won. You know what I mean? So the Blackhawks have 3 cups to show for it, and the Kings have 2. So it's like, yeah, they're stuck in salary cap hell now, and they got a lot of aging veterans that are starting to show a little wear and tear and look their age. But you can't really look at them and be like, you know. So you could look at teams like that. You could look at other teams that are cap strapped. I think Minnesota is up against the cap. And there's a couple defensemen that over there that I wouldn't mind having on our team. I think it just becomes like a matter of like want versus need. and then how desperate other teams are around us, and what are they willing to give up, and what are we willing to give up? Are we willing to, just give away like a couple, draft picks, or are we willing to dig into our farm system and give up on guys like, Mikey McLeod? I had to say his name at least once, but I hope we don't.
Yeah,
give
you
up
got a
on
man
him.
crush on him. Does he know
Big
about
time,
this?
dude. I've sent
You've
him.
been following him. You've been
I've sent
stalking him
letters.
on Facebook or something.
Yeah, I've sent him letters and he doesn't reply. I got a letter in the mail with a restraining order. No, he. I just have a lot of high hopes for him. I have high hopes for John Quenneville. I feel the same way about him, and I feel like Quenneville, like being up in the beginning of the season, him getting sent down was so unnecessary. I don't feel like he was doing anything wrong. It didn't seem, and his play was all right. It just seemed like it was one of those things like, oh, he needs to shake it up, and so. Like, no, Quenneville, like, keep him. That's a lot of the time, half these guys, like, the way they develop is like staying up in the NHL and taking their lumps like everybody else and figuring it out, because there might be studs in the AHL and putting up numbers in the AHL, but the NHL and the AHL are two different beasts. You can't go like,
I'm a big fan of, letting them play it out, especially the younger kids, but I know Hines is, well, like sometimes I'm always wondering, like, why is that person scratched? But he does really typically keep, those things to like one game. When Butcher sat out, he only sat out for one game. When Bueller would pop out, it's kind of only for like a game, maybe two, really. Like I think he's been doing a good job of rotating in. I'll still fight with the Ben Lovejoy, just because, in my mind, I don't see him as a future piece, and but I'd like to see someone else develop down on that third pairing.
I'll tell you what, Yakovlev has been pretty.
Yakovlev has been good. I wouldn't mind seeing Andy
better.
Green, go down and work with Butcher on that third pairing. But then we need someone else on that second, pairing. That's where our defensive depth just really isn't there. Besides Sammy, there's kind of there's a drop off after that. So
yeah, and I mean you're relying on big minutes for guys like, Andy Green, who might be on the tail end of his career, and I love Andy Green. I've always been a
I
big
love Andy
fan
too,
of
but
his.
he is on the tail end of his career. There's there's
he
no way around that.
Yeah, and he can't log in those top D man minutes anymore, and it's like, a lot of people have been giving Sammy Vatanen a lot of flack. The dude's been putting up monster, minutes and like playing heavy minutes in big time situations. And yeah, he's not producing offensively like you would hope, but overall his game is not that terrible, and
no.
Sammy
has been he's been our best defenseman. He's been playing on his head, and he's the only like super reliable guy out there. I don't think any other defenseman on our team would be a first pairing defenseman on any other team in the league out there. Besides Sammy. Not Mueller, not Severson, not I love Andy, like I said, but not Green. None of those guys would be considered a first, D pairing around the league, except for Sammy. He's his level is just it's above the rest of our defensive, core.
Which is so funny because he was buried in Anaheim because they have a lot of.
So was Paul Mary.
They have a lot of. Well, exactly. They have a lot of depth. And one of the guys in speaking of Anaheim that I always wish that the Devils could figure out a way to pry away that I know everybody wishes they could get is Cam Fowler.
I thought you were going to say Adam Henrique.
Yeah. Dude, I was hoping that he would come back. You know what I mean?
Adam.
Like serve his time over in Anaheim, get over with, and then come back as a free agent. And everybody would be like, "Oh, welcome back. We didn't give away your 14."
I know. I was so close to getting that Henrique jersey too, and then I was just like, when he got traded, I was like literally about to buy one. I was like, "No way, they get rid of him. He's devil for life." And then, boom.
That's right. As Shorts Guy always says, that Ray made a point right there that anybody and everybody is expendable.
Yeah,
and I mean, he was Mr. Devil, and that was like, it was funny if you remember, he just had that big Movember event where he, people paid to shave off his mustache and like this whole big thing. It just shows like how everybody loved him, and he was such a fan favorite here. There was a lot of like hatred towards Sammy Vatanen when he first got here, just because we gave away Adam Henrique for him. So it was like, you better be Jesus when you come back.
I remember, what was it, like a couple games into Sammy's tenure here, the Ducks came into town, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Adam Henrique saucer passed it like over Sammy's head to himself, and
head.
like
yeah,
and scored on a breakaway.
We won that game.
Oh
The
yeah,
Devils won that game, but yeah, I remember that Vatanen just flipping the puck over Henrique flipping the puck over Vatanen's head. And I was just like, oh god.
Yeah. You know what's also funny is I remember, the Devils were playing Anaheim tonight, but the when they played them last year, I was just out here in Los Angeles, and I was at that game too, and it was after the trade, and I remember talking to a lot of Ducks fans over there too, being like, "Man, we miss Henrique. I don't know about Vatanen." And now, like, Sammy, I find, is our most reliable defenseman.
Oh yeah,
by far.
Hey, we're going into a shootout. Going into a shootout. Let's see how they do.
All right, so we made it through the OT. That's always a positive.
The first one that we've made it through. All right, so what is your wish list?
No, did we have a shootout? Did we have a shootout loss too? Or no, is this the first one?
First one of the season.
Okay.
By the way, for the holiday season, one of the things that I put on my wish list, which I think I'm going to be getting, is that third jersey that the Devils put out this year, which is that retro jersey with the red and green, the white with the red and green.
The white one.
So sharp looking. Dude, I'm so excited about. I usually get I pretty much get a jersey a year at this point. And like I stopped getting names on the back of the jersey after Eliash because I'm not going to get somebody on my jersey like Kovalchuk, like I made that mistake. It just hit
my old green in my closet. My old green throwback. Oh,
dude, it sits in my closet downstairs and doesn't move. Such a bummer.
Michael Ryder, the other 17.
Oh my God. I was like, Patrick Maroon, you bastard, you better be here for a long time with that 17 so I can get rid of that nameplate. Actually, our good friend Bauman, one of the funny things about him is I remember after Kovalchuk left, I think it was like during that summer, he came up to me. He's like, "Yo, I took the nameplate off my jersey." And I was like, "How'd you do that?" And he goes, "I took a seam. What do they call it? Seam ripper." He's like, "I sat there and I like."
Seam ripper? You mean a razor blade, and you just kind of cut things?
No. It's like it's an actual thing. And he's like, "Yeah," and I took the nameplate off, and I was like, "Oh, it's such a good idea." And I was going to do it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to take the nameplate off. I'm going to burn the nameplate, and then I'll wait for somebody to take the mantle of 17. And since then, nobody has taken it over. And I'm like, come on, somebody. That's what I was so hoping like one of these young kids would come back up and just jump into the NHL. Like who knows? Maybe the top rookie that we picked next year or this year.
Maybe. You never know.
Bill, he's writing right now. I know how to remove names off of jerseys. The D-threader. That's what it was. The D-threader.
A D-threader?
D-threader. I'd take Ty Smith over Lovejoy next season. Hell yeah, dude. Ty Smith, by the way,
of course.
Ripping it up right now. Ty Smith is ripping it up.
I'd take Santini right now if he didn't have a broken jaw.
He's close to coming back, too, from what I hear. Nice hat, Scott. Big pumpkin. I don't know what my father-in-law is saying about my hat. It's the Devils giveaway from the Army night or from their military appreciation night. So I love this hat.
Very nice.
It's also free. Free's for me. Dude.
Hey girls,
right,
Merry Christmas. Here's a free hat from the Devils game.
There you go, girls. Crap. So far, Anaheim scored. I'm not going to say what's going on, but come on, T.
But you are.
I'm not going to give a play-by-play.
But you're just going to tell us what's going on.
It's way after the fact, so it's not technically.
Way after the fact, though. Okay.
Just make it newsworthy. Just make it newsworthy. That's all you have to do. Just make it newsworthy, and it's just fine.
Yeah, not looking so good, boys. Not looking so good right now. We're standing on death's doorstep.
Yeah.
Which I'm not looking at the Facebook group anymore because Ryan Getzlaff. What a weird dude. Like he's just weird because he lost all of his hair. So he looks really weird. Like he went from like Ryan Getzlaff and he was on all those commercials. They had like the whatever tire company that was. But he's also a dude that I would love to have on the Devils. And he just ended it.
And he just ended it.
And it's over. We got it. Short guy just texted us. He said Corey looks defeated. Yeah, dude, you're right. He does look defeated. Defeated, deflated, let in technically 7 goals tonight. 2 by his own defenseman, so
yeah, two of them weren't,
Jeez.
really expecting. So
Season
well, it was a good effort by the boys. At least they made their way back and tied it, I'll give
Corey
them that.
Swiss cheese. That's what Bauman says. Corey Swiss cheese. It's nice. I can tell when the Walking Dead's not on because Billy Boy will watch and comment live. I love when he comments. It makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, boys.
Well, on that sour note.
Yeah. We're going to have to get a winner next time.
Yeah, awesome podcast with Rebecca. That was, dude, it's so nice to talk to anybody, but it's so cool to be able to talk to, a current player, especially somebody on the Riveters, and how important, like Scotty said before, like how important everything they do and how important it is for her. And it's just like an awesome time. It's just a bummer that the Devils just lost right now.
Yeah, it's very good.
I'm a little mad.
It's good that we have someone, as good as Rebecca in that role to be that mentor for all those people. Someone who did come up and have to fight her own way through when there weren't a lot of opportunities. Now she can go out there and, share some of her wisdom and share some of her inspiration to, like I said, not just young girls, but, young boys as well. She's a role model for everybody. And, I think it was really cool talking to her.
Absolutely. I'm a big Rebecca Morse fan right now. I'm wearing my Moose hat. I'm going to wear this on December 15th. She's going to be there from 2 to 4. So I'll be there. Beer Burner, what time are you making it to the event at Mother's Ale House?
TBD.
TBD. Okay.
Does Rebecca get the Moose chant? Like Johan?
What's that?
Moose. Yeah, do we get the Moose chant for Rebecca?
Yeah, we'll get the Moose chant for Rebecca.
We should get a little drop of the Moose chant for her for whenever she comes on again. Moose.
Yeah, we should have done that.
All right. Well, I guess
it's just the mood of the room.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know. All right. Let me cue up the music. I guess we're gonna close right now.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Honestly, though, it's like this is what the season's been like. It's like, all right, yay, we're watching a game, and this is so much fun. Son of a bitch! Like it just.
Well, let's see what they do up in San Jose as well. Like they beat up the Kings pretty good. We came back against the Ducks, even though we played sloppy. Let's see what we can do up in San Jose and make the most out of this, West Coast trip. And then when they go back home, they hit the King, they hit the Knights too.
That's right, and they got it so far 3 out of 4 points, right? 3 out of 4 points in the California trip so far.
Let's take it. It's better than all the losses we were getting earlier in the season. Let's see where we end up with this San Jose team, who also is a pretty solid team.
Indeed. Oh man.
All right.
I'm just having like nightmare flashes in my mind of Erik Karlsson and Burns and Pavelski and
You'll be
Well-
fine. Don't worry.
Sitting in the corner.
Well, the next live podcast is going to be at Mother's Ale House in beautiful Wayne, New Jersey, Saturday, December 15th. A special time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Beer Baron, myself, Shorts Guy, the Devil's Diehards, Rob, Noel, all going to be there. Rebecca is going to be there. Arlette's going to be there. Pete's going to be there. Organist Pete's going to be there.
Wait.
Maybe I'll be on FaceTime.
Maybe. Maybe we could get you in. I'm not so sure. We'll figure it out. But we will be back at a special time, Saturday, December 15th, 6 p.m. Eastern, live at the Mother's Ale House in beautiful Wayne, New Jersey. Devils lose in a shootout with a 6-5 or 7-6. I lost track.
6-5.
6-5. But they got a point on the road, and that's all that matters. Till next time, guys. Let's go Devils.